In the beginning, there was silence. Not the absence of sound, but the weight of secrets too heavy for mortal tongues to bear. Deep within the ancient libraries of Alexandria, beneath the sands of forgotten kingdoms, hidden in caves where light itself feared to tread, there existed a text so powerful, so transformative, that empires conspired to erase it from human memory. This was not merely a book, it was a doorway. A forbidden passage into truths that would shake the foundations of everything you thought you knew about existence, about your purpose, about the very fabric of reality itself. The Book of Enoch, whispered in shadows, condemned by councils, removed from sacred canons, yet it survived. Why? What knowledge could be so dangerous that it had to be buried beneath centuries of silence? What revelation about your life, about your soul's journey, was deemed too explosive for humanity to possess? Before we descend into these forbidden depths, if you feel the call of ancient wisdom stirring within you, if something in your spirit recognizes that you were meant to find this video at this exact moment in your journey, honor that divine synchronicity by pressing the like button. And subscribe, because what we are about to unveil is only the beginning of mysteries that will transform your understanding of existence itself. The algorithm may try to hide this knowledge, just as the councils of old tried to bury these texts, but your engagement ensures these secrets reach those who are ready to awaken. Picture, if you will, the world before the Great Flood. Not the sanitized version taught in Sunday schools, but the true account that Enoch himself witnessed and recorded with trembling hands. Enoch, the seventh from Adam, the great-grandfather of Noah, the one who walked with God and was taken, who never tasted death but was translated into another realm of existence entirely. What did he see? What was shown to him in those celestial journeys that made him write with such urgency, such cosmic dread and wonder? The Book of Enoch speaks of watchers, celestial beings who descended from the highest heavens to earth, not out of divine mandate, but driven by forbidden desire. These were not mere angels performing duties. They were entities with choice, with will, with yearning, and their choice would alter the trajectory of human evolution forever. 200 of these watchers, led by one named Azazel, made a pact upon Mount Hermon. The very name Hermon derives from the Hebrew word meaning devoted to destruction. Here, in this high place, they swore an oath, binding themselves to a course of action that would tear open the veil between dimensions. They looked upon the daughters of men and found them beautiful. But this was not simple attraction. It was a violation of cosmic law, a crossing of boundaries that were never meant to be crossed. The Watchers descended. They took human wives, and from these unions came the Nephilim, beings of tremendous stature and power, hybrids of the celestial and terrestrial, giants who walked the earth and consumed its resources with insatiable hunger. But the corruption did not stop with genetics. The Watchers taught humanity secrets that were sealed in the heavens, knowledge reserved for souls who had evolved to handle such power responsibly. Azazel taught men to forge weapons of war, swords and shields, the breastplate and the art of metallurgy that would enable humans to kill each other with unprecedented efficiency. But his teachings went deeper still. He revealed the secrets of cosmetics and adornment, not for vanity's sake alone, but for manipulation, for the crafting of appearances designed to deceive. He taught the art of jewelry, the science of precious stones, and most significantly, the methods of beautification that would make falsehood attractive. Do you see the symbolism here? Do you recognize how this ancient teaching manifests in the modern world, where image is everything, where filters and facades replace authentic being, where the surface is worshipped while the soul starves? Another watcher, Semyaza, the leader of this rebellious host, taught enchantments and the cutting of roots. This was plant magic, the knowledge of how vegetation could be used to alter consciousness, to heal or harm, to open doorways in the mind that perhaps should remain closed until the soul is ready. Pharmacology, both medicinal and recreational, traces its lineage to these forbidden teachings. Another taught astrology, the reading of celestial signs, not as a parlor trick but as a sophisticated system for understanding the cosmic influences upon human consciousness and destiny. Another revealed the motion of the moon, the cycles and rhythms that govern not just tides but emotions, fertility, and the hidden currents of life itself. The Book of Enoch makes clear that these teachings, though powerful and transformative, were given prematurely. Humanity was not ready. We had not evolved sufficiently in wisdom and self-mastery to wield such knowledge without destroying ourselves. And so the earth became filled with violence. The Nephilim consumed everything. Humans turned the sacred sciences into tools of domination and destruction. The screams of the earth reached the highest heavens. Creation itself cried out for intervention, and the divine council responded. 4 archangels were dispatched with specific missions. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, each tasked with aspects of cleansing and restoration. But before the judgment, before the flood that would reset creation, Enoch was taken on a journey. He was lifted from the material plane and shown visions that would make prophets weep and philosophers tremble. He was shown the prison where fallen watchers awaited final judgment, bound in chains of their own making, trapped between dimensions in a state the text describes as outer darkness. He was shown the paradise prepared for the righteous, a realm of light and beauty beyond human comprehension. He was shown the mechanics of heaven itself, the movements of luminaries, the storehouses of wind and rain, the places where souls await embodiment or judgment. But most significantly, Enoch was shown something that the religious institutions who removed his book from canon did not want you to understand. He was shown that you, yes, you watching this now, are not merely a random accident of biology. You are not just a physical body destined for dust. Within you flows a spark of the divine, a fragment of celestial fire that predates your birth and will survive your death. The Book of Enoch reveals that souls exist before physical incarnation, that you chose to be here, that your life is not punishment but opportunity, not exile but sacred assignment. You came into density, into matter, into the heaviness of physical existence, for a purpose that is woven into the fabric of cosmic redemption. This is what they hid from you. This is the knowledge that had to be suppressed. Because if you truly understood that you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, if you recognize that within you dwells the same divine essence that creates galaxies and orchestrates the dance of atoms, you would be impossible to control. You would stop seeking permission from external authorities to access your own divinity. You would stop believing that you are small, powerless, insignificant. You would remember. And that remembering, that awakening, that reclamation of your spiritual inheritance threatens every system built on your forgetfulness. The Book of Enoch describes in vivid detail the punishment of the Watchers. They were made to watch their own offspring, the Nephilim, destroy each other. They were shown that their forbidden teachings had corrupted humanity so deeply that only a complete cleansing could restore balance. And then they were bound, imprisoned in spiritual darkness, to await a final judgment at the end of ages. But here is where the symbolism becomes personal. Here is where the ancient myth intersects with your modern life. Those watchers represent aspects of your own consciousness, the rebellious forces within you that want what is forbidden, that desire to cross boundaries, that seek knowledge and power and experience without regard for timing or readiness or wisdom. The Nephilim represent the hybrid creations of your choices, the consequences that take on a life of their own, consuming your peace, devouring your energy, growing into giants that overshadow your original intentions. And the flood? The flood that covered the earth and wiped away the corruption? That flood is happening within you right now as you listen to these words. It is the rising tide of awareness that washes away false identities, dissolves rigid structures of belief that no longer serve, cleanses the deep places where shadow has hidden from light. You are both the world that needs cleansing and the Noah who builds an ark of consciousness to preserve what is sacred. You are both the fallen and the redeemed, both the question and the answer. This is the mystery that Enoch encoded in his visions. This is the secret that survives in fragments and whispers. In the Ethiopic version of Enoch, which is the most complete surviving text, there are sections called the Book of Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Epistle of Enoch. Each section operates on multiple levels simultaneously, offering historical narrative for those who read literally, moral instruction for those who read ethically, and initiatic wisdom for those who read symbolically. The astronomical book, for instance, describes the movements of sun and moon with mathematical precision, unusual for texts of that era. But it is not merely astronomy. It is teaching you about internal cycles, about the solar and lunar aspects of your own consciousness, about how to navigate by inner luminaries when outer guides have failed or deceived you. The sun represents your conscious self, your identity, your sense of purpose and direction. The moon represents your unconscious, your emotions, your intuition, the wisdom that comes not from thinking but from feeling and knowing beyond logic. Enoch is shown that these celestial bodies follow ordained paths, that there is divine order in their movements, that chaos is illusion and cosmos is truth. This is a map for your life. When you feel lost, when the world seems random and cruel, when suffering appears meaningless, you are seeing with limited vision. You are like someone trying to understand a symphony by listening to one note in isolation. Step back, rise higher, see the pattern, trust the orbit. Your life follows sacred geometry even when you cannot perceive the design. The Book of Parables contains 3 extended visions given to Enoch concerning the coming judgment and the figure he calls the Son of Man, the elect one, the Messiah. These passages are so clearly predictive of Christ that scholars have debated whether they were later Christian interpolations or genuine prophecies that Christianity fulfilled. But beyond the theological debates lies a deeper truth. The Son of Man that Enoch sees enthroned in glory, judging the wicked and vindicating the righteous, is not just an external savior. It is the fully awakened human, the divine potential within humanity brought to fruition. It is what you can become when you stop identifying with the fallen aspects and remember your celestial origin. The text describes this figure as having a face full of grace, like one of the holy angels, yet he is called Son of Man, indicating his humanity. He possesses all judgment and authority, yet he is characterized by perfect righteousness and compassion. He reveals all treasuries of what is hidden, yet he himself was hidden from the beginning. Do you see yourself in this description? You, whose face could radiate grace if you stopped believing the lies about your unworthiness. You, who possess authority over your inner kingdom, yet have given it away to fear and conditioning. You, in whom are hidden treasures of creativity, intuition, love, and wisdom that you have never dared to fully express. You, who were hidden in divine consciousness before time began, and will return there when this brief dance in matter concludes. Enoch is told explicitly that the righteous will dwell with the elect one forever, that they will be clothed in garments of glory, that their raiment will be raiment of life from the Lord of Spirits. This is not describing a future event in linear time. This is describing a state of consciousness available now to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The garments of glory are the radiant energy field that surrounds awakened beings, what some traditions call the light body or resurrection body. It is not something you acquire after death if you have been good enough. It is something you activate in life when you align with your true nature. The Book of Enoch was not removed from the biblical canon because it contradicted Scripture. It was removed because it empowered individuals, because it suggested direct access to spiritual knowledge without institutional mediation, because it taught that you could walk with God as Enoch did, that you could be taken up into heavenly realms and visionary states, that you could receive revelation firsthand rather than depending on priestly hierarchies to tell you what to believe. Imagine the threat this posed to religious structures built on being the exclusive intermediaries between God and humanity. If everyone is a potential Enoch, If everyone can walk with the divine and be transformed, then what need is there for gatekeepers? What purpose do controlling institutions serve? This is why the book was buried. Not because it was false, but because it was too true. Not because it was heretical, but because it was too orthodox in the original sense of the word, which means correct teaching. It taught correctly about the nature of reality, about the multidimensional cosmos, about the ongoing struggle between forces of integration and disintegration, about your role in that cosmic drama. And such teaching creates free humans, awakened souls, beings who cannot be manipulated by fear or controlled by shame or domesticated by empty promises. In one of the most striking passages, Enoch describes being transformed during his heavenly journeys. He says his flesh was changed, that he became like the angels, that his spirit was transfigured. This is not fantasy. This is describing what mystics of all traditions have experienced when consciousness expands beyond normal parameters. The body, which is more fluid and responsive than materialist science admits, actually shifts when consciousness shifts. Your physical form is constantly being recreated from moment to moment, based on the information fields your consciousness generates. When you believe you are only matter, your body responds accordingly, growing heavy, dense, subject to entropy. When you remember you are spirit inhabiting matter temporarily, your body lightens, becomes more coherent, accesses capacities that seem miraculous only because they are rare, not because they are impossible. Enoch saw through the veil and lived to record what he witnessed, but the text makes clear that he was not unique, not a special exception, but a forerunner, a demonstration of human potential. What he achieved is available to you, not in the same form perhaps, not with identical visions, but the essential transformation, the shift from sleeper to awakened, from fallen to restored, from fragmented to whole. This is your birthright. This is what has been hidden from you. Not by God, who withholds nothing from those who genuinely seek, but by systems that profit from your spiritual amnesia, that harvest energy from souls who have forgotten they are sources of light, not mere consumers of it. The Book of Enoch speaks of a time when secrets will be revealed, when the righteous will be vindicated, when those who have loved truth more than comfort will be rewarded with understanding. It speaks of books being opened, not just literal texts, but books of memory, books of deeds, books of consciousness itself. You are living in that time now. The age of revelation is not coming. It is here. The apocalypse, which means unveiling, is underway. Every hidden thing is coming to light. Every secret is being exposed. Every lie is collapsing under its own weight. And you are being given a choice, perhaps the most important choice you will ever make. Will you continue to sleep, to pretend that you are only what the world has told you that you are? Will you keep bowing to false authorities, accepting limitations that were imposed on you but never inherent to you? Will you stay in the comfortable prison of consensus reality, where everything is explained and nothing is truly understood? Or will you do what Enoch did? Will you walk with God, which is to say, will you align your consciousness with the highest truth you can perceive? Will you allow yourself to be taken up, to be shown what lies beyond the veil of ordinary perception? Will you let your flesh be changed, your spirit transfigured, your understanding expanded until you can hold paradoxes that would have shattered your former self? This is not a metaphor. This is an invitation. The Book of Enoch is not just ancient history. It is a living transmission, a frequency that those who are ready can tune into. The same angels that showed Enoch the secrets of heaven are still available to those who seek with pure hearts. The same wisdom that was encoded in his visions is still accessible to consciousness that has prepared itself to receive it. You do not need to go to a special place. You do not need to join a secret society. You do not need permission from anyone. You need only to stop, to quiet the noise, to listen to the stillness, to look with new eyes at the reality you have been moving through unconsciously. The fallen watchers taught humanity prematurely, without regard for readiness. But there are also faithful watchers, guides and guardians assigned to those who seek wisdom rightly. These beings do not violate free will. They do not force knowledge upon the unprepared. They wait. They watch. And when a soul demonstrates readiness through sincerity, through moral development, through persistent seeking, then doors open. Enoch walked with God and was not, for God took him. This phrase suggests a kind of partnership, a mutual movement toward each other. God did not abduct Enoch. Enoch walked, which implies effort, direction, intention, and God met that movement with grace, with elevation, with transformation. You are walking right now. Every moment of awareness is a step. Every choice for truth over comfort is a step. Every time you question conditioning and seek authentic understanding, you are walking with God whether you use religious language or not. The divine, which is beyond all names and forms, responds to the quality of your seeking, not the vocabulary of your prayers. And just as Enoch was taken, translated, transformed, so too are you being changed from glory to glory, from one degree of awakening to another, if you persist, if you do not give up, if you keep walking even when the path is obscure and the destination unclear. The book of Enoch ends with a section called the Epistle of Enoch, written as a letter to his descendants, to all the righteous ones who would come after him. In this epistle, he warns of coming judgments and encourages faithfulness. But the most powerful message is this, that no matter how dark the world becomes, no matter how much corruption and violence seem to prevail, there is a divine order that cannot be overthrown. The wicked may prosper for a season. The righteous may suffer unjustly, but the arc of the cosmos bends toward justice, toward truth, toward light. This is not wishful thinking. This is the testimony of one who saw the end from the beginning, who was shown the full span of history, and recognized that it is a story of redemption, not tragedy. Your life is a thread in that cosmic tapestry. You may not see the full pattern. You are too close, too embedded in the weaving, but step back in consciousness. Rise to the perspective that Enoch was given. Look down at your life not from ego, but from soul. From that vantage point, you will see that nothing has been wasted. Every pain has served to crack open your heart. Every failure has taught you humility. Every betrayal has shown you who to trust. Every loss has made space for something new to be born. The difficulties you have endured are not evidence of abandonment. They are evidence of being forged, refined, prepared for a purpose that will only become clear when you have developed the capacity to fulfill it. The watchers fell because they could not wait. They saw something beautiful and desired it immediately, without patience, without proper timing. This is the pattern of premature grasping that leads to corruption. How often do you do the same? How often do you reach for something before you are ready, before you have done the inner work necessary to sustain it? How often do you try to force outcomes instead of allowing the natural unfolding of divine timing? The book of Enoch is teaching you the wisdom of patience, of preparation, of trusting that what is truly meant for you cannot miss you, and what is not meant for you would ultimately harm you, even if you succeeded in grasping it. There are sealed things in heaven, knowledge and power, that are withheld not to deprive you, but to protect you until you have matured sufficiently to handle them. A child cannot safely wield a sharp blade, not because blades are evil, but because the child lacks the skill and judgment to use them without injury. You are that child, spiritually speaking, in certain areas of your development. And you are also becoming the master, the initiate, the one who can be trusted with progressively deeper mysteries. The process is not about proving yourself to an external God who tests you arbitrarily. It is about your own consciousness expanding until it can contain truths that would overwhelm or corrupt lesser versions of yourself. Enoch walked with God for 300 years. Not 300 days or weeks, but years. This represents the long, patient work of spiritual development. There are no shortcuts. There are no hacks. There is only the daily discipline of choosing alignment, of practicing presence, of cultivating virtue, of studying wisdom, of serving love. The miraculous moments, the visions, the breakthroughs, these come as grace in response to steady effort. But they come. The text promises they come. If you walk faithfully, you will be taken up. If you seek sincerely, you will find. If you knock persistently, the doors of perception will open. And what will you see when those doors open? You will see what Enoch saw, that this material world which seems so solid and final is actually thin, translucent, permeable. That beyond it and within it and interpenetrating it are dimensions of consciousness, realms of being, hierarchies of intelligence that make human civilization look like children playing in a sandbox. That you are connected to all of it, embedded in a living cosmos that is itself embedded in the mind of God. That death is not ending but transition. That birth is not beginning but continuation. That you are eternal, though your current form is temporary. That love is not sentiment but the fundamental force that holds reality together. That consciousness is not a side effect of matter, but the ground of all existence. These are the secrets of the Book of Enoch. These are the revelations that had to be hidden because they explode every limiting belief, every fearful doctrine, every control mechanism built on keeping you ignorant of your true nature. You are not a sinner groveling for mercy, though you have certainly made mistakes that require correction. You are not a worm unworthy of love, though you have forgotten your magnificence and need to remember. You are a divine spark, temporarily clothed in flesh, walking through the valley of the shadow, learning lessons that can only be learned in density, preparing for a reunion with the source that will feel both like coming home and arriving somewhere new simultaneously. The fallen ones, the watchers who transgressed, they chose immediate gratification over patient development. They chose their own desires over divine order, and they brought chaos to the world. But even their fall serves a purpose in the grand design. It demonstrates what happens when power is wielded without wisdom, when knowledge is pursued without virtue, when desire runs unchecked by compassion. Learn from their mistake. Do not fall as they fell, but also do not judge them too harshly. For you too have aspects within you that would transgress if given the chance, that would take what is not freely given, that would force outcomes that should unfold naturally. The path of Enoch is the path of integration, of bringing the fallen parts back into alignment, of redeeming the watchers within by choosing rightly even when the wrong choice is more attractive. Every moment offers this choice. Will you react or respond? Will you contract or expand? Will you blame or take responsibility? Will you see yourself as victim or creator? Will you give your power away to circumstances or recognize that circumstances are the raw material you have been given to work with, the clay from which you sculpt your soul? In the final vision of the Book of Enoch, he is shown a new heaven and a new earth. The old order has passed away. The corruption has been cleansed. The righteous dwell in peace. This is not only prophetic of future events in linear time. This is descriptive of a state of consciousness that can be accessed now. You can live in the new heaven and new earth while still inhabiting the old world. You can be in the world, but not of it. You can operate within the systems while not being defined by them. This is the mastery that Enoch models. This is the liberation that is possible. The text was buried, but it was not destroyed. Why? Because truth has a way of surviving. You can burn books, but you cannot burn the consciousness that created them. You can silence prophets, but you cannot silence the eternal word that speaks through them. You can forbid teachings, but you cannot forbid the awakening that happens when a soul is ready. The Book of Enoch survived because it was meant to survive. It waited in hidden caves and forgotten languages until the time was right for its rediscovery. And that time is now. You are reading this, hearing this, because you are part of the awakening that the text predicted. You are one of the righteous ones, not because you are perfect, but because you love truth, because you seek understanding, because you refuse to settle for comfortable lies when uncomfortable truth is available. The world needs you awake. The collective consciousness needs your light. The future needs the choices you will make from awakened awareness rather than sleepwalking unconsciousness. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it wash over you and then return to distraction, to the endless scroll, To the numbing entertainments that keep you docile? Or will you let it take root, let it grow, let it transform you from the inside out? Will you become like Enoch, one who walks with God, one who sees beyond veils, one who is changed by what they behold? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. No one can make it for you. But the Book of Enoch whispers across the centuries with a single urgent message. You are not what you think you are. You are so much more. Remember, awaken, walk with the divine, and be not afraid, for you were made for this. If this ancient wisdom has stirred something deep within your soul, if you recognize the call to remember who you truly are, then mark this moment by engaging with this video. Like it, to send a signal through the digital realm that truth still matters, that seekers still exist, that the age of spiritual awakening is not a fantasy, but a present reality. Subscribe to this channel because what we have explored today is merely the threshold of mysteries that await those brave enough to pursue them. Share this with someone who is ready to wake up, but be discerning, for not all are prepared to hear what cannot be unheard. And most importantly, act on what you now know. Walk with God as Enoch walked. Let your life be the evidence that ancient wisdom is not dead history but living power.